Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you all are having a great weekend. So, today we want to talk about the Zen Crypto project. Will it launch its own blockchain, right? So, some people have made the argument that Zen is a copycat of the Hex blockchain. Um, well, if it's a copycat of the Hex plan, right, of the Hex community plan, then maybe then that would mean that then Zen will launch its own blockchain to have a low fee structure for the Zen cryptocurrency. Now, I don't know if that's Jack Levine's direction. He may have no intentions of doing that, but if he did that, could you imagine the tremendous value of the Zen cryptocurrency? But also imagine this: if the Zen cryptocurrency itself was the was basically the currency of the blockchain, and and not some other currency, right? And similar to what you get with Hex and Post chain, but then instead of Hex being the cryptocurrency of the chain, look at something like Bitcoin and the blockchain and Bitcoin. You have Bitcoin, the blockchain, then the cryptocurrency of Bitcoin blockchain is Bitcoin, right? You have Zen, the Zen blockchain, and the cryptocurrency of Zen, the cryptocurrency of the blockchain, right? So you can imagine the tremendous value that would come into that. Not only do I think it'd be a good idea that would make a lot of sense, I think it would greatly cover all the tenets of what cryptocurrency is all about, um, and um, pull Zen away from Ethereum, because I feel at this point Zen can exist in its own ecosystem, right? As its standalone thing with its own community, being that the product itself is so unique. And I don't think that it would need to have run on Ethereum or these other chains at all, right? I think initially it's a good idea that they do like they've done to build up the network in the community. Um, Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, but I think it should happen at this point. Um, I think with the value that's went into Zen, that's actually went to Ethereum, right? I would have liked better if it went to directly to the Zen community, but that can be corrected and changes can be made. The network is still by proxy built, and where you can take that and you can translate that to another blockchain. Now, um, I want to talk today about some of the attacks that the Zen cryptocurrency project has gotten. And here's the problem with that, right? I remember the early days of Hex. And what you had with the early days of Hex was you had this the vitriol from Bitcoiners and Ethereum folks who just hated the Hex project, right? Called it a scam, uh, was saying that it brought no value to the cryptocurrency space. And I can't help but thinking now there's a tremendous amount of what feels like hypocrisy, right, coming from the Hex community in their attack of Zen, right? It's almost like the Hex community has become, in a sense, uh, what went down with Bitcoin and many of these other cryptocurrencies, right? And I think that's very unfortunate. Uh, I think it's very unfortunate for Richard Hart to do this vicious attack that he carried out on Jack Levine. And he did it in a way where he didn't mention Jack by name, but he talked about the Zen project and in a very negative light. And as Jack Levine was very diplomatic on a live stream he did this evening, where he talked about he supports Hex and that he didn't call Richard Hart a scam. He just responded to a question, which was true. He was only answering a question that had been placed on him about what Richard Hart could further do to make the project of Hex and Pulse more acceptable to the cryptocurrency community. And Jack Levine told the truth, right? That is the biggest problem with Hex and Pulse chain, that these cryptocurrencies are centralized at their core, and they're centralized by the control of the cryptocurrency itself, the wealth of the cryptocurrency itself, and the power and the ability and consensus, right, in a more centralized matter as of the control of the cryptocurrency, the control of the network, right? That's how proof of stake works. And so that's going to be a tremendous problem to a lot of people if you can think outside the scope of money. You got to remember, security and money aren't the same thing. Uh, just because you can make a cryptocurrency value and price increase doesn't mean that your network is secure by any means, right? So you have to keep that all in mind as well. So the attack from Richard Hart came about from him saying, t- uh, speaking about how dumb Zen was, uh, that with the bots and so on and so forth, right? But there are there are other thought processes about Zen. People are coming up with ways to burn Zen, right? Communities are coming up with ways to burn Zen, and the network effect. Uh, how Zen has managed to get everybody involved, from the exchanges to the to the people creating the wallets, right, and development teams and so on and so forth, uh, are just necessary components that are necessary in cryptocurrency, right? It's going to be very difficult to have a successful cryptocurrency uh, outside just with the retail investor and just with the hex community, right? Believe you me, I've tried, right? And there are certain things that have to go into that. I think that he calls himself K for K crypto or something like that. He's also went on a lot of attacks um, about the Zen project, right? But there's a much bigger picture to the Zen project. I kind of feel like Jack Levine knows something we don't know, and he kind of knows how this. I don't think that it's not a well thought out project. I think Jack Levine does kind of have an idea how this ends, or at least has a vision or a plan that he isn't releasing yet. But I think, or he's allowing the community itself to evolve the blockchain into whatever we deem it to be. And I think we're going to have a lot of creativity in that area, right? But yes, I think it's quite hypocritical. Now, am I excited? Do I like the fact that these bots exist and people who are smarter than other people can have an advantage with the bots somewhat? No. Uh, my answer to that has been use Bitcoin MYK, project we've thought about that is our. I don't think a proof of participation models can be in competition with one another. I think they can be in competition with projects that aren't proof of participation. In other words, I don't think Bitcoin MYK and Zen can be in competition with one another, but I think Bitcoin MYK and Zen can be in competition against Hex and Pulse Chain, right? And there are some reasons about that. Free projects don't really make sense for them to be in competition if the product is free. What typically happens in a free project is I'll just use your free project and your free project. But when there is a pool of money, or there is a need to purchase something from you, now there's competition because you're draining my resources, right? So all those things have to be considered. Um, so in conclusion, I'll keep this video short today. Yeah, Hex community, don't become hypocrites. If you look at the early history of the Hex community, uh, we faced a lot of um, vitriol and attacks from the rest of the cryptocurrency community. And I kind of feel like we've become, or we reverted now to those very people, right? And we forget where we came from, right? And again, I think that's unfortunate. Uh, but you know, um, their proof participation model. Why I'm appreciative of Zen is that it is showing that proof of participation model is going to be the way for cryptocurrency, right? That is here to stay. That I believe is going to be other proof participation models. And this was my original goal when I started the proof participation model in late 2018. It was that there would be a lot of other people doing it, right? So it's kind of strange, but in a proof participation model, we want the copycats, right? I want many models like that. They can vary in how they work, but the core idea of giving the cryptocurrency away free to everybody, and I'm not going to get into how that can have value. I think people who think that if something is free, it doesn't have value, has a very limited understanding or hasn't sat back and thought about uh, how network effect works and how value comes out of network effect. Uh, so how Metcalfe's law works, right? I would, tell you to look up Metcalfe's law and get a full understanding of that. And if you did that, then you would understand that the complexities of free doesn't mean less value, right? And I'll just give you this quick example, right? You hear that in our economies as such, whenever there is some type of economic distress or severe economic depression, or even going into recessions and great depressions, as it were, you often hear the idea of the stimulus to stimulate an economy where a bunch of helicopter, free money is sent out to people, and you're wondering how does giving a people a bunch of free money that they haven't earned, that hasn't been created by the economy, how does that uh, help the economy, right? How does it create more value for? How does it get people out of recessions and great depressions, right? And it just shows that if many economists believe that that is possible to give people free stuff and it make the economy better, and well, world renowned economists, right? Then what that tells me about free stuff is that people who say free stuff doesn't give you value don't have a full understanding of how economics works, right? Right? That they don't fully understand what they're saying. And I would just kind of leave it at that. If you're interested in information like that, I would advise, if you're beyond just the people who want to gamble in cryptocurrency and make a few bucks, right? If you really want to have education about your money and grow it safely and in a valuable way, instead of just crash and dumps and pumps, then I would invite you to subscribe to the channel. Basically, go through our videos. You can Google or you can put in the search under our channel Metcalfe's Law, and it'll explain in detail how those type of things work. Right. That's the advice I would give you. To look into that, and you'll probably have a different view about free stuff and free stuff not bringing value to networks and such. But that's all I want to say in this video. Don't forget to join Bitcoin MYK, the original proof of participation model. You'll be glad you did. You will find that this model is well thought out and probably the answer in cryptocurrency a lot more helpful than many other projects. But right now, what seems to be popular is Zen, and I think it's going to be necessary to get us to the next step in cryptocurrency to make cryptocurrency what we dreamed it to be for the masses of people. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. Till next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.